Welcome to Pushing 40-Bit. We're the podcast slash video service that's kind of like a book club. Today we are talking about Watch Dogs. I'm Frosty. We should introduce ourselves first.
I'm Cynic, the one in the squeaky chair. I'll try not to make too much noise.
No, it doesn't squeak. And I'm Clipper, as always.
Yay for Clipper.
Yeah.
I'm drinking Code Red, because that'll make sense later.
Ooh.
Oh, it's so meta.
So we played Watch Dogs this month. Watch Dogs was released in May 27th of 2014. Did we make a joke?
Pulled a sneaky on you.
Watch Dogs was developed by Ubisoft Montreal. They make a lot of the Ubisoft games, the Far Cry series, Assassin's Creed series, Rainbow Six, Splinter Cell. Maybe it's just like, what do you call it, Ghost Recon that they don't do. Like they do pretty much everything else, it seems.
It's impressive on a 35-hour week work ethic.
Is that what they have?
And you know it's a game by Ubisoft because you climb towers all the time.
I didn't. I climbed exactly one.
Oh.
You didn't climb towers.
I got about halfway through the first tower type thing. I said, wait a minute, I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I stopped.
It's a horizontally, like rooms and...
Yeah. But I knew I was climbing
Guards.
a tower. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's that. Cynic has some numbers for us.
Yeah, so it came out in 2014, and
Yes.
it broke all sorts of records in Ubisoft and just worldwide because it sold 4 million copies in the first week, which was huge. But then it
That's
got
crazy.
beaten almost immediately by other games that did better. I think Destiny was one of them. But for Ubisoft, this stayed the record for a long time. And in the whole first year, they sold 10 million copies. So it's still one of their best-selling games, which is partly why they were so confident going into that there was going to be a sequel. They were just like, oh no, this is going to do great.
And despite the
Yeah.
fact that the game was sold as one thing and when it came out was drastically different.
And took 5 years to develop. They started in
Wow.
2009.
That was one of the things that I wondered just about the entire plot. The whole hacking aspect seemed out of date.
Yeah.
Because like The Matrix came out in like 1999, like end of the 90s, early 2000s, seemed like very, super interested in hacking and
Yeah.
new technology and things like that. And this, it felt a little out of date. And
Yeah, it
maybe
felt-
it's because they started it so much earlier. But even then, 2009,
Yeah.
probably still would have
because
been
you
a
had
little out
like
of
the
date.
Net in 93, Hackers in 95, Matrix in 99. Yeah, they were late.
I
to
love
the
that
game.
you know when the
Oh,
Net
yeah.
and Hackers was released.
you gotta know for B-movie nights.
Which, peeking behind the curtain, Matrix 20th anniversary re-release in theaters. It's very exciting.
Wait, they're doing it in theaters?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. It's gonna be
That's
fantastic.
interesting.
Yeah. So this game, it was a success, and I think this is actually one of the first games that has taught us never pre-order, ever, because the game they showed at E3 was not the game that came out. The gameplay
Yeah.
was the same,
Right.
by and large, but the visuals entirely different.
Were there
Yeah,
evaporating
exactly.
puddles?
Yes.
Okay.
Something like that, yeah. Like, this is one of the ones, like, it's always on the list of, like, most controversial, like, things that they've shown in E3, and the final product wasn't the same. But, it is just graphically.
Graphically, I thought
Wasn't
by and
the
large was the
same.
biggest thing. The Division did it as well, though.
For sure.
The
yeah.
Division looked fantastic at E3, and then when you get it home, you're like,
Yeah.
eh.
But they did change a lot of the Division's gameplay.
Right.
Like, pulling up the map, like, in-world, like, those kinds of things were, like, completely
You have this
gone.
buddy with an iPad.
Yeah.
You're like, that was just not even
Yeah.
there.
And at least
Exactly.
Watchdog didn't take 20 minutes to load before you were disappointed with less good graphics.
That is true.
Yes, yeah.
It did load quick. I thought it loaded
Yeah.
really quick.
Not bad.
Uh-huh. Yeah, loading times were fine.
Yeah. So, yes, there was controversy. We're not going to worry about that too much.
Sure.
We're worried about gameplay. That's what we do. It looked good enough.
Yeah. Well, and there's,
Yeah.
dynamic weather, dynamic lighting, and so the same place would look different time after time. I think that's good enough. And the plethora of assets, right? 65 cars, more than enough. NPCs, you couldn't even count them. There were way
For
way
sure.
more than you
yeah,
could count.
the world definitely felt lived in, felt
Yeah.
active. That
Wasn't
that
always
was
the
nice.
same building panels over and over and over again, right?
Now, compare and contrast GTA 5, another open world game, very similar.
When did
Yeah.
GTA 5 come out? I didn't write that one down.
I
Was that
did write it
20
down. It was
15
the
or
year
16?
before. It was no.
That was 13?
Yeah, it was 2013 on PS4 and
And the
Xbox.
PC
Changes everything.
PC was a year later, right?
Yeah, maybe even a year and a half.
Oh, okay.
That changes everything.
Yes, that was one of the. Well, I don't know if I want to get into this right now.
Do we ever have a table of contents? This is a discussion. Like we
This-
just brought back our books and we're talking.
Okay, so all open world games I feel like are very ambitious, just by their nature. They have to incorporate a lot of things.
Yeah.
This is incorporating, open world. It's doing the hacking stuff. So there's hacking mini games. Kind of a lot of emphasis on just like the hacker lifestyle, but also like the mini games and the side missions have a lot to do with that. And they have to put in a good plot, characters, voice acting, everything. I felt like every little piece of this is mediocre
Really?
or bad.
I mean, so I have to compare it to GTA 5. And I
Yes.
would say that the plot is better than GTA 5.
I don't know. I liked Grand Theft Auto more, I think.
So what was the plot of Grand Theft Auto, in a nutshell?
Some guys are kind of washed up and do crimes, and yeah.
I mean, that's okay.
they get
right?
a new kid to join their ranks to be a crime
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah. Whereas this one, there's more characters, there's vengeance, there's, so I thought that plot was one area where this one excelled over GTA. Now,
Maybe.
everything else, I was thinking that GTA had come out the year after for some reason. And so I was like, well, for a year before GTA, this is fine, this is great, this is great. But now that I see it the other way around, you're right, it's mediocre.
Yeah.
Mediocre
Well-
at best.
And I felt like too, I would rather be playing Saints Row.
Oh
or
yeah.
Grand Theft Auto. And Saints Row came out in 2000. Saints Row 3 came out in 2011,
Yeah.
like way before. And Saints Row has humor. Saints Row.
Yeah.
All of the other open world games have better radios.
Yeah.
The radio in this was the choices sucked.
It was almost
There's
like it was
nothing
like the
great.
B list, like deep cuts from every album, which had to be a financial decision.
Oh yeah,
They all
there's-
got me claimed on YouTube. Every single video is claimed.
Oh really?
Every single one.
Well, yeah, because they don't
And
have
I
enough
turned
money.
it
They're
off as
going for
fast as I
everyone.
could.
Yeah. Oh, that's awful.
I hate. Okay, I'll just say it right now. Open world, don't play the radio when I get in a car. That's not fun.
You can't turn that off. That is a setting.
Yeah, I
It
did
needs, it needs to
eventually.
not be default.
I did eventually.
That's not
Yeah.
fun. That's not clever.
It can be. Like in GTA, I loved talk radio. Anytime talk radio came on, I would stay in
there's
my car
humor?
to listen because it was hilarious,
Yes.
right? And the talk radio in this was okay.
And it was good when it was giving you plot
Yeah.
points and information and background, but hearing some deep cut from Jimmy World, there was one Jimmy song I think that played.
Oh, was there?
I thought,
If it was one that you had unlocked, then I never found it. There was a Weezer song.
maybe
Yeah.
it was Weezer. Maybe I'm
Yeah,
mixing
but
that up.
they're right. There was a bunch of bands that I recognized, but I didn't know any of the songs except for the Weezer one was "The Good Life."
Yeah.
I knew that one, and all the other bands I've never heard this song by them.
There was a lot of
No idea.
weird blues and jazz and stuff, and I like that just fine. But I remember thinking are there really enough of me out there to justify putting this in
Yeah.
a game? Like,
Some
Yeah.
audio
Actually
designers
listen to
going,
it.
"Oh, he noticed."
I was expecting to hear Benny Goodman pop up next, be like,
I don't know.
That's
who
a
that
joke
is.
that went over everyone in this
"Hey,
room's head.
Yeah.
it's almost the
Yeah.
20s. You need to learn about the Roaring 20s of the 1920s."
Okay, I'm not going 100 years in the past. Jimmy. I'll give you 10 to 20. That's my
Yeah.
limit.
Yeah.
Oh wow, 30
You just referenced the Matrix, damn you.
now. That's true.
Cell phones existed, so we can go that far.
That phone was awesome in the Matrix. The one that clicked open and shot up in the
Yes,
bottom.
everyone wanted that.
Gosh, we
Yeah.
couldn't get him here. Wasn't it only Japan only phone?
Maybe, I don't know. I don't know what it was.
In
anyone-
your-
if anyone
in
knows
your reality,
where I can
hashtag
get one-
Mandela effect.
Yeah. Phone
So
doesn't
yeah,
exist.
Watch Dogs, a game of mediocrity. Okay, yes.
Yeah,
continue.
the other game that I felt like does everything better with hacking is Deus Ex: Human Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought of that one a lot, just the way that you hack into cameras or can hack computers. But then that also has a lot of other. The story isn't about hacking; it's about other things. But
I haven't played that one, but hacking was my main pet peeve in this game.
Yeah.
It was
The mini game or just the whole aspect of using things?
no the mini games specifically, right? It was
Yeah.
Pipe Mania from 1989
Uh-huh.
forever, and it wasn't even good Pipe Mania. Pipe Mania was better than modern Pipe Mania.
I thought you'd have loved that. I really did, because you like
Yeah.
shooters with puzzle elements. I'm like,
It wasn't
cynical.
a puzzle. It
No.
was like twist, twist, done, yay.
That
twist,
always-
twist, twist,
yeah.
done,
Okay,
yay.
that
For
always
the
does
only
that.
puzzle part was that the mouse to get to the far end, you had to move it across your pad 4 times, or you had to turn your mouse sensitivity up that you couldn't aim in real life.
So for our
Yeah.
viewers that aren't geniuses like Cynic here, it took us a little bit longer to do the Pipe Mania games.
There was a
Well,
couple.
no, that was the thing that I
timer ones,
hated.
Some of the timer ones were hard, but
I felt like they were difficult, but it was just stretching the gameplay out.
Yeah.
They weren't.
they weren't.
They
fun.
weren't so difficult that it was interesting, that it was a fun puzzle to figure out. They were just padding the gameplay time.
And me, I work in IT. I'm a security professional by my career. I was face palming the entire game.
I also work in IT, and I can verify that hacking in real life just like that. So all of you want to be
One person
hackers,
can do it with
play
a phone.
Watch Dogs, and you'll be an expert hacker just like me.
Yeah, because you hack things by line of sight. That's how that works.
Yeah, if you go behind a
Well,
wall.
no, it's CTOS, so I could at least do some hand waving and be like, okay, this is a network that spans across the whole city. There's
Sure.
some sort of redundant light optic line of sight communication network that allows for a data bandwidth. It's possible and plausible. If you're trying to wire up a whole city, it's at least plausible that there could be
Sure.
optic based
It is possible.
data transfer, right? And that was the hand waving that I did that made me not want to bite my tongue.
And basically pointing my cell phone at it and having a blinky light to make me kick
Yeah.
over a camera.
And the way I got around that was just a remote to his server farm of awesomeness that did cool things that were pre-programmed. But then when his house blew up and he kind of switched over to the bunker, there was no like obvious transition to that. So I hand waved and said, "Clara did it."
That was something I wondered. The
Bad
very
Boy
beginning,
17.
the very beginning of the game, I was confused, like why he could do all the things he could do. Like I thought maybe it was tied to like his phone specifically. Like he I don't know, got some ultra specific phone like from the CTOS people from Bloom that could actually hack into them, but it didn't seem that way. It
No,
just seemed like
'cause they
he
had-
was a hacker.
And they had to specifically be given granted access to the CTOS stuff that Clara helped with.
Yeah,
But-
Clara gave that to you.
Yeah.
Those hacks, the DedSec hacks.
But even way
before that, you were
before
still
that-
hacking.
But you were hacking as you were the protege of Damien. Brinks?
Brinks?
Whatever his
Yeah,
last name is.
yeah.
Yeah, so Damien's like, listen to your old mentor, right? And so apparently
I mean,
he
yeah,
was the
Damien-
hacker and you were the protege.
Right, but it didn't seem like from the very beginning of the game, like after the prologue or whatever,
Yeah.
from the very beginning of then to the end of the
Yeah.
game,
You could already hack
you
the
could hack
cameras,
the
you
same
could-
amount
yeah.
of things. Well, there were some things you had to unlock
Sure.
through skills, but the
Clear-
basic stuff you could hack everything.
Well, Bad Boy was helping pretty early on, though, right? So in that very first exposition where
Yeah.
you're getting out, you run into a locked door that you can't do, and she has to kick out the power for you, right? So
Okay.
I don't know. There's
And there was a scene
She had
where
some
where
time.
Clara comes and
Yeah.
says, "Hey, here's our latest DedSec hacks that give
Yeah.
you next level CTOS."
and clearly
Okay.
DedSec
Yeah, I just forgot about
has
that kind of stuff.
some sort of broad-reaching hacking ability because they show up, at the very end when you have to make a choice, right?
Right.
Like, they're clearly prolific,
Yeah.
but yeah, again, that's hand waving to try to make it okay.
Yeah. I was confused about that, and then it also seemed when his motel burned down and he lost all his gear, nothing changed. Like you
Yeah.
could still hack the same amount of things, but his character acted like it was a big deal. Like I lost everything and now I can't do certain
All
things.
my
but-
hard drives.
Yeah,
like,
but it was like you could still do everything.
I think the best thing though is he had a cell phone that could last hours and days
while typing, no less. I mean, that's like the most battery-intensive thing.
with the
Yeah.
screen on constantly. Because who ran without the profiler on? It was on 24/7 with me.
Oh, and it made the HUD like so ugly, so
yeah.
cluttered.
Sometimes I would turn it off just because I wanted to look at something.
I hated that it was necessary to have it on,
Yeah.
but
I wish it was slightly
ugly.
transparent.
Yes, any little tweak would have made that just slightly better.
Though it was also fun to run around with it on all the time because then it helped you realize just how many NPCs there were, right? Because you'd see weird little flashes of backstory everywhere, how
Oh,
much
yeah.
money everybody's
I
making.
wrote some
It
down.
was really interesting.
Like watches
There's a
torture porn, hilarious.
There's some pretty funny
Frequently
ones.
purchased sex toys. Watches torture porn again. I wrote that twice. I guess I really like that one.
Raised Mormon.
Yeah, Raised Mormon was a funny one.
Trying to remember some of the other
Has
interesting ones.
lymphoma.
Has them,
I
yeah.
was like, oh,
You're like, oh, that hits a little close to home.
sad.
But it was interesting, and you could tell someone spent some time and made all those little funny quips, which I respect the time and effort that put in. Did it add anything to the game? No.
That was one of the few funny things in the game, though. The game took
Yeah,
itself
it's true.
way too seriously.
Yeah.
I felt like there wasn't
Way too
there wasn't enough
seriously.
humor.
And okay, he's a hacker. He's the protege of Damien, whatever, and he's an expert marksman,
That was another thing I wanted to bring up too.
and he's
Yeah.
expert martial artist. Like
Yeah.
he literally with his baton. He had training based on the animation and stuff. That wasn't just some guy with a
Sure.
stick.
Yeah, and it didn't. They never talked about that.
At least he also didn't sing or do voice acting. I mean, that was pretty apparent based on his voice. So this was actually his first voice acting role. I wouldn't be surprised if it was his last because I don't think this counts.
I
as
didn't
voice
see
acting.
too much on his IMDb.
Oh, was that voice acting? I thought he was just a smoker.
Possibly.
He just sounded horrible.
Yeah, I was not a fan of the voice acting, and especially comparing that to GTA 5. No comparison.
Well, there was no one recognizable in the list of,
Yeah.
of everyone. which is surprising because almost everything we've played has had at least one person, like even older, like more obscure games. Free Space 2 and
Yeah.
like those had.
Well,
people.
so they did have one like super famous voice actor that was in a random scene that I never happened across. I only found out about it because in the credits I saw Aisha Tyler. I was like,
Oh,
"What?
okay.
Lana? Where's Lana?"
She's not a voice actor.
Well, but she has an NPC
Yes.
and she talks, so she's a voice actor.
I didn't hear her voice, and I was standing right
Oh,
next to her.
really?
Yeah.
So in the clip I saw, she was talking on the phone, and you could
Oh, really? Maybe
hear, but I didn't. It was just a couple second clip that
I totally missed this part.
it's possible. She was just in a random building. There was, you know how everyone shows up just white or they're blue if you can hack them. Someone showed up red, and I was like, "Wait, what?" And I turned around to see what it was, and it was like Aisha Tyler,
That's funny.
and it looks like her. Yeah. Yeah, and it says like what her occupation is and her interests. And
How much
like,
money does she make?
I can't remember, but it's in my video or will be when
That's
it
interesting.
comes out.
Yeah, I didn't find her.
Yeah.
So
But I didn't hear her voice, so
Yeah.
it's possible that if she is talking on the phone.
And for her to
maybe-
be like such a big famous deal, and she did like the presentation at E3 or something like that for Ubisoft.
She had done a bunch of E3s in a row, I remember,
Yeah.
back in the day.
And so I would have expected her to have featured more prominently because she shows up in the credits real early, enough that I
Wow,
noticed.
I didn't notice that in the credits, so. Interesting.
nitpicky thing, menu items were hotkeys only and keyboard navigation.
Oh,
Clicking
yeah,
on
the
stuff
navigation was bad.
didn't work.
Wait, what?
Like when I was in the main menus and stuff, I couldn't click on half the menu options. I had to scroll around with my keys.
Yeah, you're having 4K problems. I could click on stuff.
You actually had a mouse pointer and could actually click on
You had
Not-
a mouse
not
pointer.
in the main menu. I had a mouse pointer, not
in your
the phone.
in your phone menu.
In the phone.
Phone, you're just moving
the-
this
yeah,
arbitrary
yeah.
selecty thing.
Yeah.
I couldn't click on anything because I'm like, what? What am I on?
Yeah.
Well, I could click on stuff because it would highlight what was currently selected, and so you could pretend like you were pointing at
Well, it was really bad when there was
it
two
was
menus.
clunky.
Like it would have like the list of car types and then the cars,
And you had to-
never knew like which
Oh.
one your mouse was over because you couldn't see your pointer.
And you had a mouse wheel to get through the different categories.
Yeah.
I hated the
I
UI.
really
did
bad.
not like the mouse wheel for the guns, and so basically what it made me do was just go, oh, okay, I've got all my favorite guns selected. I'm never doing this again, and then something would load and it would be a different gun. I'd be like, no, mid-fight trying to scroll through and do it
Yeah.
right. The worst was trying to switch between like grenades and IEDs and stuff, and my mouse wheel was pretty sensitive, and so I'd spin through them way too fast, and I'd be like, I just want
Because of that,
this one.
I pretty much just used the silenced assault rifle, and that was it. Like I rarely threw a grenade or used an ID,
Oh,
unless on the
grenades
missions
were
where it like
so
kind of made
helpful.
you. But
The Silence
Yeah.
1911 for me. I
Is
used
that
that.
the pistol?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I used
was
that the
good.
whole game.
That was good. Yeah,
I switched a fair bit between the different assault rifles, but I would say my go-to was just the sniper rifle, the SVG or SVD, one of those.
I don't
The
think I
Dreadnought.
fired a sniper once.
Oh,
Yeah, it was pretty handy.
I liked them.
Really?
So there were tons of missions where you were like, can't be seen. And I suck at stealth. Everybody that has seen me play knows that I just tank through stuff. And I was just getting caught and caught and caught. So I was like, you know what? I bet I can go up on the hill over there. And I'd climb a hill. And I'd look down in. And I'd just shoot one, shoot another with the sniper rifle, right? And you could turn on bullet time to make sure you could really, zoom in on their noggin
Yeah.
and hit them in the perfect spot. And so then there'd only be like 2 guys left in the compound. And I'd go do my stealth mission.
Huh.
Yeah, bullet time. Yeah. Way to throw that in there for no reason whatsoever.
I
Well,
pretty
but
much
GTA
never
had
used
bullet
it.
time too.
Why?
It was awesome. I love bullet time.
I like it in Grand Theft Auto.
No.
In this,
No.
It helped me to do driving missions. It helped me to do.
I'll-
I probably should have used it more driving.
I'll suspend
I
the
didn't
disbelief
think
for
of it.
quite a few things, but focus. I can now. No, that's stupid. Unless you're the Matrix
Yeah.
or Max Payne, stop it. Get some help.
And that maybe that's why I liked it was because it just gave me nostalgic feelings of Max Payne.
But the Max Payne had a good story
Yes.
and good writing.
Yeah.
It had better writing than this. Yes,
It was
I-
good.
No. It was fantastic.
Okay.
I'm just saying that I think that this is also a good story.
I didn't care
Good
for
like
it.
a-
Especially the family drama stuff with the sister and the nephew felt so cheesy and
Okay,
corny.
that
There was
family
some
was the
weird
most
stuff.
bipolar family like
Yeah.
ever. Like 1 minute, hey Aiden, it's all good to see you. The next minute, it's like, I hate you. Please go away.
Yeah,
What is wrong here?
and this is
It
gonna
was
reveal
really annoying.
too much about me, but like I've got lots of nieces and nephews, and we're not close. Like I mean, maybe that's bad, but
Yeah.
like there would never be like he can't believe you didn't come to his birthday party. It's like you remembered what month his birthday was. Good job.
Yeah, I
Have you had a niece die though? Your one and only niece die.
Yeah.
We don't know if it's the one and only. We don't know anything about this guy's family. Maybe he's got like 12 sisters.
It's possible.
Left back in Belfast. Did you? So he's from Belfast. Did you know that?
No.
I didn't know that.
Where
I
did
had to look it
come
up afterward. I don't know.
Okay.
He was born in '74 in Belfast, and then like they fled to America. But I don't know where that plot point came. I just found it when I was cruising wikis.
Wait, he was born in 74.
So he's 39 in this game.
Really?
Yeah.
Spry 39-year-old.
Yeah.
I just assumed he was way younger than that. Huh.
Yeah.
And let's just talk
Okay.
a moment about Aiden Pierce and his fantastic wardrobe. Where when you go to change the wardrobe, you can change the pattern of his creepy coat.
Oh, I never even tried to change. Is that all it is?
I changed. I think I ended up using 2 different ones, but
You change, it's the same
Yeah.
outfit, it just changes textures.
yeah.
That's disappointing because again, me hand waving, I'm like, well, they probably were too ambitious with the clothing and stuff, and that's why every time I'm on anything that moves even slightly, my coat goes crazy.
I was gonna ask if his clothes wigged out.
Insane.
I was
Like, I
just
had to
assuming-
close my eyes.
I was assuming it was like one of those good and the bad and the ugly scenes where like tumbleweeds are blowing through and my coat's just like flapping in the breeze.
They
for
do
no
call it
reason.
the Windy City.
Wait,
Ah!
yours flapped like that ever?
No, it didn't flap. It shook like an epileptic hula
Yeah,
dancer.
yeah. Mine was like I literally was getting headaches. I'm like, I have to close my eyes when I'm on the elevator into the bunker because lights are flashing and the coat's going crazy and walls are like kind of moving at the same time.
Yeah, it was.
Which-
That was really bad.
Can I say how much I hated the bunker? Just
Sure.
hated it because you'd go to the bunker to like do the next step in the mission. I hate when they make open world games do this all the time. Now go back to your bunker to go to the next mission.
Yeah.
You've been giving me missions on the fly this whole time. Now I need to be back. Fine, I'll go back. And then you get back, you're on an island. Now I have to find a car,
Yeah.
and luckily there's
Yeah.
usually one parked there. And then go to move the bridge. I'm like,
You could fast travel to the bunker. That wasn't a problem.
but
But
leaving.
Leaving, yeah, you couldn't always.
And you
got
always had to
old.
wait for that stupid bridge.
That
took
got
way too
old.
long.
yeah, that was really bad.
Super old.
And I was like, oh, I'll just leave the bridge like this. It's not like I'm worried. I'll just leave it there and then it'll be fine. It closes up
Yep.
every time.
I found myself like closing it earlier and earlier until once it just shot me out into the harbor. I was like, oh, too early.
Huh.
So it was. I wrote down another thing. Driving is awkward, and that's literally all I wrote. It wasn't
Yeah.
good. It wasn't bad. Like it wasn't horrible, but it was awkward.
Yeah.
I never once got successfully to drift around corners because I was trying to do like a
Yeah.
hilarious deja vu type video montage of me drifting. Couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I even got my
Yeah.
wheel out, my racing wheel, and tried to do it. Yeah, it didn't work at all.
Yeah,
That sucks.
it never felt good. I feel like even other games like Grand Theft Auto or Saints Row that have driving with keyboard and mouse are passable. They're fine, and this wasn't that at
And
all.
it was the
There were
auto
parts that were
centering,
awesome.
I think.
That
The
was-
camera just
yeah.
auto centered behind your car all the time,
Is
even when I
that
was moving my
maybe
mouse.
so?
Which meant you could never disable a helicopter. You spend all those points to be able
Yes.
to disable a helicopter, and you're like, I can't look up.
Yeah, you could only do that on foot. That was so
You,
frustrating.
you could do it in the car, but you
You'd
had
get
to
away.
plan it. So like you'd have to be like, oh, there's stairs. Stop, so that you're like facing down on the stairs, and then you can see the helicopter and disable
Oh,
it, and then you
man.
take off again.
Yeah, that
But
was
parts
bad.
of it were great, like jumping off of stairs, bouncing off of railings, breaking through things, all felt pretty natural. But then, like, you try to go up a mountain on a motorcycle, and there's just invisible walls everywhere. They just, you can't go up this mountain.
I
you
think
go
I
up,
only
like, the
I
bottom
only used
part?
the bikes on roads.
I used the bikes
I didn't see
constantly
that.
because they were faster and
Yeah.
I could get around traffic.
Yeah, the bikes were nice on the roads, but yeah, I didn't try on.
They were also
off-road.
more fun to go pedestrian hunting on. So a lot harder to hit them like that. That was a great use for bullet time, by the way, was pedestrian hunting.
Oh,
So we should say that
you
you.
played as Satan.
Yeah,
I probably killed. I don't know. I haven't finished my montage yet of all the people I ran over, but it's probably somewhere in the ballpark of 150.
and I tried not to kill civilians and not kill cops.
I
You
even
the
shot
same?
some civilians.
I kneecapped cops and didn't shoot civilians.
Wow.
I didn't shoot at cops ever.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd kneecap them constantly.
Yeah.
I didn't shoot many civilians, but I shot a couple.
Especially the ones that like didn't have money.
No, I can't remember why I shot them. I think one was because they were going to call the cops or something.
You just had to point your gun at him
yeah,
and stop.
yeah.
Well, but once your gun's out, you might as well shoot.
I would try to tackle those ones, but
Oh, I never tried tackling him. I just held my gun to him. Like, okay, okay, okay. And they'll
I
stop.
just ran over them for the most part. That was the easiest way to deal with them. And you don't have to kill them either. You just have to bump them. But then once they're down, it's real easy to double tap them.
There's the holes in the story of like who you're allowed to kill and who you're not allowed to kill were baffling. So the fixers were like the guns for hire bad guys of the world,
Yeah.
right? And you were open season, kill as many as you want.
Yes.
But regular, like, just thugs, like, from the gangs and stuff, some of them you couldn't kill, and sometimes it lowered your points. It was just, I felt really awkward, like, morally in the game of who
Was
to
it
kill.
just like you couldn't have a civilian see you do it?
I don't know what it really was, because it just, for me, it felt awkward the whole time, because these guys are just random security people at this CTOS headquarters, and I'm shooting them like there's no tomorrow. And I'm like,
Yeah.
why is this okay?
It's so much easier when you just killed everyone. There was no moral conundrums, nothing. I'm like, I'm not an NPC, suck it!
Did you guys like when the towers, where you have to unlock the area so that you can hack everything in that area?
That I did once.
I did once.
Oh, you didn't do the whole entire
I only
map?
did the
No.
very first tutorial
really?
one.
No, because I realized what they were doing, and I said no.
Okay, because that was one of the things that I actually liked in the game,
Oh.
was figuring out how to do it without actually entering the area.
Oh, yeah.
okay.
Because you could
That-
use the
that did
cameras
feel
and
more
use the
like a
body
puzzle.
cams. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
the one of the very few things that I actually enjoyed in this game
Yeah.
was like navigating the cameras. Sometimes you had to lure them. There would be like cell phones that you could make bark like a dog for some reason, and it would lure guys over
'Cause
so
it's-
you could see the next thing to hack.
Because it's Watch Dogs.
Very nice.
There we go. Those that I actually enjoyed those.
Yeah, I did too. I thought that was a good puzzle element for
Yeah.
sure. And
Did you do
even
it-
like which shutters should be open to
Yeah.
make it so people can see
Sidelines,
here or there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you do any of the other other things like the gang fights or the
I tried
convoys? There was
I never did a
convoys.
convoy.
There was crime stopping stuff.
I did the very first Crime Stop, and that was it.
Same. Yeah, I didn't do any others. I think there was ones where you had to deliver cars. I tried one of those.
So those were the one. That's the one I wrote down. That's the one I liked. The
Oh,
car
really?
delivery one, because it was you'd race in a car to get one. You'd drop that car off, pick up a new car, run somewhere else. I'm like, oh, that's kind of fun idea.
There were some interesting ones, but I looked up. You could look up what all the rewards for doing them were in your phone, and the rewards were crap. And so I was like, I'm not going to spend time doing any of these. The only one that seemed worth it was the arms dealing one, because you got a silenced assault rifle. And so I raced through those to do them before I did most of the story missions, and had that and used that for the rest of the game because it was great having a silenced assault rifle. But
Yeah.
the other rewards seemed done, so I didn't even.
I stopped
Try
using the
most of them.
silenced pistol as soon as I got another pistol, because when you're killing everybody, it doesn't
Yeah, you
matter,
probably
right?
didn't
And so
care.
I was just like, oh, this pistol is more powerful. Yep.
There we go.
Yeah.
Why was hack and action a different button?
I wish that all of the things that we're using hold E were just the Q one instead, right? Because it's like tap E, hold Q, fine, right? But yeah, it was weird that there was hold and tap, and some were one, some were another.
But why? Why can't I use the same action
I don't
button for look at a phone,
Yep.
or look at a camera action, look at a car action?
Yeah, and because it was never like there was
Yeah.
two side by side.
Never.
Yep.
I'm trying to think if there was ever a situation where you were opening a door and hacking something else at the same time. But I
I
don't
never
remember
had ran
that.
across that. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
it's just like an extra
Yeah. Now, what I wish they had done was do both all the time, and say if there happen to be two on the screen and you use E, you're doing the right half one. If you use Q, it's
Yeah.
the left half one. Because sometimes you'd hit Q, and even though this one was clearly highlighted and said Q, it would trigger this one.
Yeah.
Especially when driving, I always wanted to. You could open up those gates and drive through them, and I wanted to close the gate behind me, and it
Yes,
would
and you'd-
start closing,
Mhm.
but then it would open the gate in front of me, and I was
Yep.
like, no, I didn't want to do that yet.
Yep.
Yeah. Just mediocre.
Yeah.
The interface was mediocre. And Saints Row 3, I mean, I love Saints Row 3.
Yeah, I do
Fantastic
too.
game. It had none of these beefs in it that I can remember.
No, you can't
There's no
hack
hack.
stuff while you're driving around, but it's better story, more interesting. It's way funnier.
Yeah.
This doesn't have hardly any humor.
Yeah. And I feel like I'm
Yeah.
giving Watch Dogs a too bad of a time, or too bad of a rap right now. I had fun.
I'm not.
I did too. Yeah, I
I
enjoyed it.
didn't.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
I really did not like this
Okay.
game.
It was fun.
How long did it take you to get through it?
I'm not sure. I didn't.
Because I was right around 17 hours. And so, if 17 hours of not enjoying a game, that's rough.
Oh, it was. I really was not enjoying almost anything. There were very few things. Let's see. What should I go over my goods?
Yeah, let's
the
do
things that I actually liked
Before you start just decimating
So I
them.
like those CTOS bases. The puzzle of trying to get to the server without actually entering places. You could go in and kill all the guards or do anything, but I liked the puzzle element of it. The prison level, I liked getting yourself into prison and getting back out
Oh, yeah.
stealthily.
I like
that
that.
was an interesting thing.
Stealthily.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I tried to do it stealthily.
Guns blazing.
You had to do it stealthily.
Certain parts. Once you get to a certain
Yeah.
point, you didn't have to.
Okay, because I was like, anytime I had to go stealthily, I'd lose like 3 times and then run to it.
Oh, if you ever watched civilians get into a car crash and then get out of their cars and
never
yell at
did
each
that.
other,
Yeah, hilarious.
that was a nice touch.
That was nice.
I thought that was funny.
I
That
did think
that was it.
Interesting
That's-
that people would respond differently, right? Like you'd pull out your gun and everybody would respond, right? But I would blow something up that was meant to like kill people, and somebody would just be barely outside the blast radius. They don't die, and they just like obliviously walk past it. And you're like,
Yeah.
what?
The
There's lots
reactions
of things like that. Yeah.
were so hit or miss.
Yeah.
And especially in the missions where you're trying to be stealthy or try to do something infiltration type, I could shoot a guard, he'd drop dead, his buddy'd see him dead, and then they just kind of go back to normal patrols.
Yeah.
Like they didn't like go to high alert and like
Yeah.
all converge on you.
The on foot AI seemed pretty bad.
Bad.
But by contrast, the police driving AI was insane.
Yeah.
They were nuts. Like, I hated them so bad.
Unrelenting.
Yeah. They would see you through walls. I mean, I guess you could say that maybe they're seeing you on, like, the
Scanner or something,
cameras
yeah.
and,
CTOS.
and
get
stuff.
them-
Yeah, but
Because
it still
them
felt...
finding you was just a blast radius, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you could change cars. You could do anything,
Yeah.
and, like, they would still find you. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
and they would pin you in really well too, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you really had to work. If there was like 8 of them after you, which I don't know if that was your guys' case, but there was
Oh, yeah.
8 after me
Common.
like all the time.
Well, and that was the thing, is I was trying to play the game non-violently, like not killing anyone, and it didn't matter. Like, the police go after you like you're a mass murderer.
So I killed everybody. I didn't kill the cops. And if they were out of the car, I would run them over
Yeah.
while fleeing. Because if you got out of the car and you fought the cops, you died.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, I believe it.
There's no chance.
yeah.
They would also. I hated. It seemed really stupid that they just fire at you. It doesn't matter if there's civilians around.
Yeah.
Like, they will run over civilians. Like, force you into
Oh,
running
yeah.
over civilians.
And I hated that. Like I was trying
Yeah.
not to kill civilians. You were just forced into it
Yeah.
a lot of times. And let's just say this. Sorry, I'm going to jump back a little bit.
That's fine.
The game ran like turd.
Yeah.
Ran like crap.
I think this is just a bad PC port.
Yeah. Like my rig's a monster and it ran like garbage.
Yeah.
I put on my NVMe, it still ran like crap.
Titanfall 2 ran way better than this did. Like,
Well, but Titanfall 2 was Xbox first. This was PlayStation first, right? And so when you're targeting PlayStation, it's a different architecture than targeting Xbox. Xbox and PC,
okay,
those
yeah.
go pretty seamlessly, right?
yeah.
And so it's just a different sort of game. What I was surprised, I didn't even realize this game. So I own it for Xbox 360. I've never played it, right? It's just a digital download. Apparently, there's like 1/10 as many NPCs and like half as many cars.
really?
And because the Xbox 360 just can't handle it, even when it's running at like, it's not even like 720p. I think it's less than that or something. That it has to run at. But yeah, I think it's like an interlaced 720 or something. So it's probably 720i or something like that, right?
So technically, this is still the best version of the game, but
Well, so PlayStation 4 is probably the best version, simply because that was the one that they did most of their testing on and they were targeting specifically. And so I'm guessing that it ran best there, and then this was port.
It just
I could see it. Yeah.
this micro stuttering is what killed me. Like I'd be sitting at 144 frames a second, everything's great, and then I'd drop. And especially, I'm like, okay, it's loading a new area or whatever. I put it on my NVMe drive. It shouldn't have.
Well,
Yeah.
and when did you see the performance problems? At least for me.
Driving.
Really? Okay.
Driving
so like,
was bad.
Driving was
yeah.
bad.
So my rig's not as powerful, right? And so throughout I was getting, pretty close to 60 frames a second with some of the stuff turned down and my OBS running. But when it would go to a cutscene, suddenly I'd drop down to sometimes 35 frames a second, even when the cutscene had very few cinematic elements around it, right? You're like, there's nobody on screen. Why is this chunking like crazy? And
Yeah.
it just would.
And it was frustrating, especially because I'd wreck my car all the time because I chunked. Like I'd be driving great, and then I'd go right into a wall because I stuttered into it. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, I had a few times where even just like trying to navigate like right down the middle, between two cars, and you'd end up sideswiping or something. And,
Which is
yeah, it would
interesting
just
because
throw you
the
off.
engine that they were doing, I think it was called the Disrupt engine. It was, I don't have my notes. Sorry, I forgot them at home. It was raining real bad. But I think it was the Disrupt engine, and the whole reason it was made was for a racing game. And then they're like, actually, let's switch it into this open world thing, and then it turned
Really?
into Watch Dogs.
Oh, that's interesting. Because I would not think that this was at all based on the racing game.
Now, I don't know how early they switched, right, from racing to another. Maybe it was early enough that they were still in, demo type
Yeah.
racing. But you would have thought that racing would have been primarily good in this engine.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Other things I liked as well, just continuing that, is
Sure.
I thought when you hacked in the different CTOS data centers, you could watch the videos that were stored on them.
Mm-hmm.
Those were pretty funny. They had some little spying on citizens being
Yeah.
weirdos. That was kind of great.
there was a few of those that were funny. Or when you would hack into buildings and you could see what people were doing right then.
Yeah.
There was a few of those that were funny.
Yeah.
I thought the mob boss
Very
was a
good.
great character. I loved him.
Oh, yeah.
Lucky.
Lucky.
Lucky
Thought he was a
Quinn.
good character.
Yeah.
I thought Jordy was a good character.
Yeah, Jordy, I think, is my favorite character. In fact,
did like
I wish
Jordy.
he'd been the protagonist.
Yeah. He was hilarious.
Yeah.
Like everything about him was like great. He's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, make these IEDs and could you solve a problem for me? They're in the back." And it's like, "Oh, you want me to blow up this truck
Yeah.
with your prisoners in it?"
You just show up and he's got like people in the apartment building hostage because he
Yeah.
needs their
Yeah.
broom for whatever reason.
I almost wonder if, like, whoever the director was like, okay, Mr. Protagonist, you need to be as blank slate as possible so that anyone can project themselves onto you.
Ugh.
And that's what went wrong. Because it just felt like he was
Yeah.
trying to be boring.
It
Pants.
very well could be.
He was pants. Anyone can slip him on and be him.
Beige pants.
Beige pants. Yeah. So, any other positives that you got? Just kind
I
of
think that was all that I had written.
cynic. Any
as far as
positives that really?
I did have some written down that I'm sure we haven't touched on, but it wasn't a ton. It was all fine. I felt that the story was good. But again, some parts were weird, some parts were forgettable, some parts were just mediocre. I mean, that's a good way to describe it, and especially now that I know that this was a year after GTA 5, it really colors everything.
Yeah.
And it's an open world game is an investment from day one.
Mhm.
And I think I tweeted about this. Like, I hate starting an open world game, like
Yeah.
getting the feel of the lay of the land, like how things work and all that stuff. And by the time you get 2, 3, 4 hours in and you start figuring things out, if you're not liking it, you're in for a slog.
Yeah.
Sure.
A long slog.
That was me.
I did like the map. I thought that the map was diverse. I liked the difference between Pawnee, between the Bay Area, and then between the city. It's not a huge map. It's big,
I'm
but
glad,
it's not
I'm glad you like
gigantic.
Chicago.
But I thought, well, Pawnee's not
Fake
right outside
Chicago.
Chicago.
Yeah.
No.
I had to look that up and see because I was.
Pawnee's in central Indiana, and
Yeah.
Chicago's like, I don't know, like an hour.
Well,
there's
because-
also there's a Pawnee, Illinois too.
Oh wait,
There is a Pawnee, Illinois.
There's a
but
Pawnee, Illinois, and a Pawnee,
yeah.
Indiana. Which one's
It's
it trying
not,
to be?
It's not
I don't
Parks and
know.
Rec. Yeah.
no.
Like that's what I've seen the Parks and Rec song while I'm driving. I'm like,
Yeah.
was
Well, that
awesome.
was something I wanted to bring up is the story. The characters act like Pawnee is super far away.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it wasn't.
I got there in 5 minutes. And,
Well, and you can see Chicago like just right
Yeah.
across the river.
Yeah.
Like
well,
it's
you can see Chicago.
yeah.
Nothing was licensed. They
Yeah.
saved money by not licensing
Yeah.
actual Chicago.
Which is weird
Mm.
that you'd have to license the city, right? Like Georgia, Paris, these places, they pay you to do things in their city. They're like, hey, you just mentioned Paris, here's $5,000 for you, right?
So do they-
You base something in Paris, we'll give you a bunch more, right? Georgia, you film it here, you show things from here, you show like landmarks we have, we'll pay you. That's why Walking Dead's there, right? Like,
Like you
Because-
said, they're saving money by not like none of the buildings were the actual buildings.
but how is that saving money? Like, how is that not? How does
Are you sure?
Chicago
'Cause
not
the,
do this?
The tower looked the same, and like the bean.
No, the bean was definitely different.
Different.
Well, it wasn't
There were-
reflective, but I wondered if that was.
But it's
just
not a bean. It was a donut.
It was a donut.
Oh, really?
And
There were artistic
Yeah.
liberties taken on every building to
Yeah.
not license them.
Yeah, well,
So
the
there's-
bean,
I
the
didn't
bean, the guy
notice.
that owns the copyright on the bean is notoriously hard-nosed about it. You take a picture of the bean, you post it on Facebook, and they will file a copyright problem if they find it.
Should I know what this
Serious?
bean
They will.
is?
It's just a big reflective silver bean.
It's
like
been.
platinum
I only know
chrome.
of it because it's been in some movies and
Oh,
stuff.
fantastic.
I've never
There's a
been to
giant bean in
Chicago.
Yeah, it's
so-
not.
Okay.
It's not like cool. It's fine. Like
a
Did you
weird
ride a train
mirror.
ever?
no, but I did
Um,
drive down the train tracks a lot.
I did once, or near the beginning of the game, because I didn't have a safe house open in an area yet.
There were safe houses.
Yeah, that's why. That's why you hack the tower. Because then you can
Does it
fast
give you more
travel.
fast
Oh,
travel
that's
points?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
I just drove everywhere.
I
Yeah,
didn't-
me too. But I didn't mind the driving. I enjoyed that part of it. It was like when I played Red Dead Redemption. I liked just kind of going around because the driving wasn't hard enough. Well, if you're willing to run over people, it wasn't hard enough that like you could look around. You could be like, oh, look at that, look at that. Oh, I ran over another grandma. Okay, let's keep going.
Yeah, if you do all the towers, there were fast travel places all the way around, but you couldn't use them during missions. And so, like we were saying, did we say this on camera? I forget.
No.
Talking about how leaving the bunker.
Oh yeah.
You couldn't fast travel if there was a mission going, and so
Oh,
you still
yeah.
did have to drive
No,
out of the
that's
bunker.
lame.
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know there'd be safe spots. I should have
I,
ran a tower.
Quite
I
a few
figured
of
that
them.
there were, but I just
No,
didn't
I
care.
still like when I realized what I was doing. I'm like, I'm climbing a tower. No, Ubisoft. No, I will not do it.
did you guys find the money that I was leaving for you all around the city?
What? You can leave money for us?
at the check-in places.
That's
The
where I
city
was getting the
landmarks.
money.
Yeah.
I'd check in and get money. It's like, you got money. I'm like, okay.
What? You could check in. What's checking in?
So you'd go to like a landmark and you'd like hit your action key and it's like, you checked in at this landmark.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'd always get money for it and I had no idea why.
Did my name didn't pop up?
No.
Oh, I wondered why if it would actually show you.
I never checked in anywhere.
Oh, yes.
I never bought anything. Well, that's not true. I guess I bought a coffee once and I bought a gun
I
once.
never bought coffee.
Yeah.
I don't think I bought a gun either.
The only reason I bought the
clothes
coffee
once
was because I wanted to buy it before I threatened the guy to see what would happen afterward.
Ah.
But they
So
just
did you,
run away.
do you just have an option to leave money for friends or?
Yeah, and you could choose the amount. You could also leave like bullets and pills and stuff like that too. Or you could leave it for friends, or you could leave it for randoms. Because almost every time I went to a check-in place, like random people had left money, and it was almost always in like around the $200 mark. And so I was just like, I'm just going to start leaving $200 all the way around the city.
I kept getting $200 and I didn't know why. I was like, oh, this is great.
I was hoping,
But I
that
never
one of you would see
wanted
it.
for money.
No,
I had money
I never
coming out of
needed
my
it because
wallet.
I'd never
Yeah.
used it, right? Like, and I kept finding things that I could sell, and I never sold them, right? Like, I'd find all these weird pendants and gems and stuff in cars, because every time you steal a car, it's like, you found $200, you found a
You
gem,
looted their
Yeah.
glove
you found a
box.
rupee, right? Like,
when
A
you hack
rupee?
like a few like inside a clay pot, inside the glove box.
Psh, Ruby, green.
Yeah, the only thing that I kind of wanted to buy was the Lamborghini, but then I was worried that once you bought it, that it wouldn't actually be a respawnable vehicle, and so I didn't actually buy it.
so I don't know. I found enough fun vehicles. I drove the UPS truck. I liked that. That was a lot of fun. I drove, some big rigs. Those were awful.
The taco
fire truck. Yeah, the taco truck. But my favorite weird vehicle was, I only saw it once in the whole game, and as soon as I saw it, I stopped whatever I was doing and I chased it down and I stole it. This big old white limo. Did you ever see a
I
limo?
don't think I
I never
saw
saw
a
a
limo.
limo.
It was horrible to drive,
I bet.
but like you could side spin it and like take out several pedestrians at once.
Just what you wanted to be doing.
I did like the part. Okay, so remember in this, we're talking a little bit plot action here. When you go to Default's club that he's DJing at, and he'd hacked the profiler so everything said Aiden Pierce is a noob and Aiden
Yeah,
Pierce
yeah.
sucks. Like, that was pretty clever. But have you ever been to one of those like real underground clubs? Not even underground, but even a popular club.
No.
There's no room to walk around.
I haven't even been to an unpopular club.
Yeah.
So some of the clubs in Vegas, when you go in, you're literally like this the whole time, and you can't move.
This one's exclusive.
It varies.
What was the point of Default?
To just be Dead Mouse, that was it. That was the whole point, I swear.
It seemed like such a small, quick part of the story. That,
Well, and he's like this super hacker, right? That you then just like take out in a second, and it's not even that hard, and he's dead. But then like DedSec doesn't care.
Did
Yeah.
you take him out? The answer is no.
What? Did you?
DLC says that was a different guy. That was a placeholder. He escaped.
okay.
He was a DLC fodder, is what he was.
Okay.
They threw him in there to so people would buy the DLC, which is like default something or other, and that was like just a stand-in for him that you killed, and the real one was
Gotcha.
hiding under his table.
well, that's even more stupid than what I thought he was.
Yeah,
That's
he's
all
DLC
it is.
fodder. Is
That's
all he
all.
was. His
I-
car was kind of fun. I drove around in his car.
Oh, yeah. I accidentally ran him over. That's how he died.
Oh, I ran him over very on purpose.
Oh, I pulled out my grenade launcher and blew his car up.
The grenade launcher was kind of fun. I only used it twice.
I never
But
shot
the
it.
car-to-car combat was worthless. I felt like I could never run someone off the road. I couldn't
Yeah.
wreck them.
You couldn't pull out a side piece and even like frighten
Yes,
them.
I wanted to shoot out the
Yeah.
windows.
Yeah.
And GTA 5 again, you can do that. You can pull out your side
Yeah.
piece and
And there was no way to actually like take down another vehicle unless you used a hack or you happened to crash them well enough that they got out and
Yeah.
blew up the car.
so you could take them out, but you had to. It was all about head-on collisions, right? And so if you leveled your car up to take less damage, you could just keep head-on colliding and demolition derby them to death, which was.
Did you ever pop a
irritating.
tire?
Oh yeah, I did.
I never did.
Like your own car?
Yeah. So this makes you.
I think I
one
ran
of the
over
skills,
spikes once.
One of the
Yeah.
skills is like more resistant to punctures. I never had one.
Yeah, no, I had them.
Worthless.
I ran over spikes.
I had them
yeah.
spikes a couple times. I didn't notice. Well, more often than not noticing was me trying to be clever and like make them pop up right as I go past it, and I did it just slightly too soon
Yeah.
and popped my back tires.
Yeah.
Do you remember there's a mission where you're working with Bedbug, and you're supposed to like booby trap this area of all the thugs coming to kill Bedbug, and that's how he gains street cred. Did you notice it played music during that scene? And it's kind of like a amp you up, kind of the Far Cry 3 make it burn down.
I
Probably.
didn't notice the music.
I literally wrote down, "Hey, look, they tried to do a Far Cry, but 1/5 the effect."
Yeah.
I remember a lot of missions where any of the driving missions where it would play your car radio, and I would turn it off, and then it was like, oh, the actual in-mission audio that they have going for this mission is way better than whatever my radio was playing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad I turned this off. Like,
I just gonna keep mediocre.
Yeah.
It was entertaining in pieces where I'm like, oh, it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
It was never a slog. It wasn't a Darksiders like, oh my goodness, I have to go back and play this game. But it wasn't like I love it.
Sure. I thought that they mixed things up enough, right? Like the T-bone section was different. You know, there were some differences, but there weren't 17 hours worth of differences. It definitely was ground to a halt a little bit at the end. But, you know, you had to find ways to entertain yourself, and I felt like the world was big enough that you could, right?
Sure.
So, for example, like, I took one of those big taxi boats, I think. Maybe it was one of the white boats. But I took one of those boats, and I was like, I'm going to get a pedestrian kill with a boat. And I got one.
Oh,
that was a lot of fun, right? Like, jumping a boat onto the land and squishing somebody. Like, yeah, I didn't think that would work, and it did.
Do you know how many times I failed the boat mission because I didn't realize I could drive a boat?
Which boat mission?
There's a mission where they escape. I think it's after it's the briefcase. You're following the briefcase.
oh, yeah.
And then they get in a boat and they take off, and I'm trying to catch them on foot.
Yeah.
And then they just go to the ocean. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do?
Oh, see, I followed him in car.
I followed him on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could drive along the shoreline.
Yeah.
It almost seemed like it was perfectly planned. Like,
Yeah.
there were jumps and like interesting things.
See,
like,
and then when I just got in a boat and I just kind of bobbed behind them the whole way.
Gotcha.
And then the story didn't matter, or didn't fit. Like, you're supposed to steal the list to get on the VIP to find out who could get to this auction thing. But I murdered everyone, so they knew the list is compromised. Yet the story goes on. I murdered the guy at the car dealership to get his car and to go to this auction.
Yeah.
Surely they would have told him, but no, not until like way down the line.
yeah.
Well, and so when I got to the auction, I was like, whoa, the game's wrapping up. Like, this is the climax here. We're getting to, like, big sex trafficking. We're going to free these women. This is going to be a giant thing. And then it was, like, a minor plot point. And you move on to, like, the more important thing of revenging your 6-year-old niece. I was like, that was kind of weird.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of this was one
Because
of
they had
the,
side missions where you could, like, free more of them. But
yeah, one of the things that frustrated me was that there was only ever one main story mission at a time, and it often felt like your sister gets kidnapped, and that's the whole rest of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it almost seemed like you're doing all these other like sort of side missions, but they're counting it as a main mission.
yeah.
And I was like, why am I doing this? Like, I should be trying to free my sister.
Yeah.
Like, it seemed like they didn't properly use the open world aspect. Like, there should have been, you know, 1 or 2 or 3 missions, not 1 or 2, 2 or 3 or 4 missions that you could do at once and choose like how you wanted to actually navigate the main plot line.
And Elite Hacker Man couldn't find his sister really quick.
Yeah, you had to get the other guy, and
Yeah,
it took him 2 or 3 missions before he figured out the audio.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
I also felt like, and I can't prove this, I can't find anywhere that would verify this, but I think that the story was written with Aiden Pierce as the husband of Nikki. And then they were like, oh, he looks like a jerk. Let's make him like the, you know, brother that's kind of aloof, right? And they changed it all, because it just felt like there were many times when it was supposed to be more poignant, and then you're like, it's a niece or a nephew or a sister, and instead of...
Would you murder half the town of Chicago for a niece or nephew? A lot of
But
effort.
for
Maybe
Klondike
some people-
Bar.
And
There
for
you go.
17 hours of your life, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The other thing that bothered me was the HIPAA violation at the very end when she's talking about, like, oh, I treated his sister. I'm like, that's a HIPAA violation.
Yeah.
Oh, the-
No,
the
I yelled at it
therapist.
too.
Did you?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, you can't talk about that. I'm so fun at parties.
I'm even fun at work. At work, somebody made a database with HIPAA in it, and they spelled it HIPAA.
Mm.
And now it's stuck that way for forever because someone's dependent on it, and I'm so mad. I yell.
Awesome.
I'm real fun.
I hated how every time. What?
That's how it really is.
I hated
HIPAA?
Health and Information Protection and something AC.
I thought it was 1A.
I think there's 2 ways.
Okay.
You've been mad this whole time.
Apparently.
over nothing.
Yeah. I'll have to look
Release
it up now.
your anger.
Protection Project, maybe it's 2 PPA. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
it's 2 P's and an A.
Whatever. Stay for the linguistics.
We cannot do this right now. I hated every time there was a flashback they did the distorted thing.
Oh, yeah. That
Like,
was awful.
Don't do that in games. You can do that in a movie or TV show. Don't do that in games because I think something's wrong with my video card.
You can do it in the game, but it needs to be more purposeful and less chunky, right? It needs to be more artistic and less, like, just broken looking.
Yeah. every time it happened, I was like, what's wrong? Oh, wait,
Yeah.
no. we're
Whereas if
fine.
you have like a wave of distortion that climbs in a predictable
Yeah.
pattern, that's fine. But to just have like your whole screen like freeze, go white on one part, and then like chunk, you're like, yeah, that looks horrible. And I even knew like right from the beginning, I'm like, okay, I'm sure they're doing this on purpose, but I still hate it.
Yeah. I did not like that at all.
Yeah. All right. So, should we draw conclusions, or is there anything people want to get off their chest?
I want to throw my notebook because I'm mad at it.
I'm not that mad. I'm
not mad.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to rate this game a solid C+.
We don't do ratings here.
That's what I'm going to do, though.
We don't do ratings.
That's why I'm going to do it. Because I'm just going to stick my neck out and say, I like this above average.
There is absolutely no reason to play this game.
Okay,
The
there
Grand
is-
Theft Auto, Saints Row,
No, here-
Deus Ex are all
Okay, I agree.
better.
Here's the scenario. You've played Grand Theft Auto 5 and finished it. You played Saints Row 3. You played Saints 4, and you're like, I'm looking for another open world game. Let's try Watch Dogs. That's this game.
Well, and I want to
Do
play
not
this.
play this until you've done GTA 5, Saints Row
Sure,
3,
But then,
and 4.
but then this game just makes you wish you were playing those ones.
But I want to play the second one, right? Like
No.
for me, there's like the fear of missing out thing, right?
Don't
And
play the
like,
second one.
I want to see what the second one has inside of it.
Garbage.
And so because of that, I want to start at the first one. It's the same reason I wanted to play the first Mass Effect, right? Not that it was the best Mass Effect, but that I wanted to experience Mass Effect.
I am with you. That was my initial thought that I did want to play this because I'm like, oh, they've made 3. Like they're probably a good series. I have no interest in continuing after this. I don't think I tried the beginning of number 2, and it seemed like they did fix a few things but ruin a few others, and I was just maybe it's too soon after playing this one that I don't want another open world game that I
No,
will
I
maybe
started the
hate.
second one as well. They've broken the entire hacking.
That
hacking,
seems annoying.
Yeah, it's horrible.
How,
And
how could you break this hacking? I'm very confused because it was already my biggest pet peeve.
so
in this
instead
entire
of
game.
taking you to a screen where you've got all the fields to change those things, you now have to just walk around on the ground and find them.
Oh yeah, that was weird.
like your Aragorn
The
sniffing out the
tubes.
hobbits.
Actually, good point. Shadow of Mordor. You know how you can go to the Shadow Realm and do things? It's like that.
Okay.
You're still in the world, but you have to walk around. And then there's like a thing on the wall. You have to hold down your middle click and then memorize what each symbol means, whether you want to disrupt or make it attract or do this.
Yeah, they made it so overly
And
complicated.
they way played up the whole hacker, like the sugar skulls and the whole like
that's
hacking community, like all the 8-bit graph.
It seemed like it could be funnier.
It could
Like
be
I got
funnier,
a
but
vibe that it was going to be a funnier game, but
Okay.
I'm definitely not playing it now.
There
No,
definitely
needs to be
was
some
someone
time.
on the development team that had a sense of humor, and I wish they had been featured more prominently, right? So, like,
Yeah.
there were multiple rabbits in the world. So, in Jackson's room,
Yeah.
there was a rabbit, and in a
Oh, I think
bar,
I did see
there was
that.
a rabbit, right? And you could
Yeah,
trigger it, and it would, like, make noise and stuff. And then there
Yeah.
was a moose that would tell jokes, like a moose head on the wall.
Yeah, what was up with the moose?
Well, because it's
And
just
the
it's a redneck thing, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
and then the big mouth bass on the wall that's like
Yeah.
an
I don't know if I saw a
animatronic bass
fish
that would
ever.
sing
Yeah, I
and
saw
stuff,
that.
right?
Saw
Like,
the
it's very
moose.
rednecky.
Yeah.
There was another Easter egg in there that I thought was clever, but I can't remember right now. Should have brought my notes.
I'm not into the whole. Play it if you've already played every other open world game, and that's all you like to play.
I think I even
I
say
don't know.
no to that.
I guess I love the Big Brother concept in general. I mean, this is why I wore my "Don't Tread on Me" shirt today, right? Because I think that it's an important thought exercise to have to go through. And while this one maybe isn't the best way to experience it, it is one that made me fully think about what would it be like to live in a city that was this, overstepping of how much they're monitoring you and stuff.
Read a summary. Watch some videos.
Cliff Notes. Watchdog
Yeah.
Cliff Notes. That's
Yeah.
a Frosty's new project.
One last topic. During the last scene, let's just get this out of the way. You have an option to close the loop, and kill Maurice, the
Yep.
guy that killed
Is this
your
Looper?
yeah, killed your niece. Do you kill him or not?
Yep, headshot.
I
in a
walked
second.
away.
I headshotted.
Oh, I'm the only one that walked away. Wow.
I also was
I've already
like,
killed so many people. One more is like me.
well, and it's like the whole game. I'm like, Jordy's like, kill him. I'm like, yes. And you're like, no, we can't kill him. I'm like, oh man. Jordy's like, I'd pop him and be done. Yes, let's do that. Again, I just wanted to play as Jordy. I didn't want to be Aiden.
Yeah. Disappointing.
I mean, yeah. And I was looking at it from yep, this is Big Brother, this is horrible. But I don't think a lot of people would have taken that message away.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think you're supposed to.
I don't think they would have.
Really?
Yeah. I look just
You
look at-
watched the credits, right? Like the end
I
of the credits.
did. Yep, sure
And
did.
even with the whole CTOS 2.0, you don't think that was the message that they finally punched out at the very end?
I think that's the method they wanted to show. I don't think
Okay.
most people got it.
Got it.
Because my news feed on social media still is blowing up with people exposing way too much personal data. So maybe they haven't played Watch Dogs. Maybe that's it.
So everyone
But I
actually
have a
needs
really
to play Watch
interesting
Dogs.
thumbprint. I had to publish it.
Yeah, so Watch Dogs, maybe play it if you've done everything else is my consensus.
I say
Never
do
know.
it. Fear of missing out.
So we're all at different levels.
There we go.
That's great. I think this is the only time that's happened.
It is.
We usually agree on what we play.
Except Mass Effect is turd, but anyway.
Oh, sad.
Yeah, he didn't agree with us.
Yeah. So next month we are playing Bastion.
I know nothing
which
about
is-
this.
it's one of my favorites.
This was
I really
basically
like
I
it.
wanted to do a hard right turn because we kind of know what we have plans for the distant future, but we want to make sure we do something really different
Yes.
in the short term.
Yeah. Bastion's great. It's like a kind of a sort of top down to the side
It looks isometric,
RPG. Yeah.
So it's like Diablo?
A little bit, but you're not like gathering loot and stuff like that. You do have like a
really?
choice of weapons and things like that, but it's more like a beat 'em up from that view.
Okay.
Kind of a thing.
So less RPG, more hack and slash.
Yes, but you do have a choice of like weapons, and then there's like I think there's alcoholic drinks that give you different passive abilities and stuff. The
Alright.
twist of the whole thing is that there's a narrator that narrates everything that you do. So the different ways that you beat up people, depending on what weapons you're using and stuff like that, he will say what's actually going on and goes. And there's like a neat little story.
Like a Thomas Was Alone style?
A little bit, yeah.
Cool.
I don't remember if there's anything funny. Like Thomas Was Alone was pretty funny, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the Bastion is. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I played it, and I don't actually remember how, like where the story goes. I remember kind of how it starts, but so I'm interested to play it again. And
And I
actually
bought it
remember.
forever ago, so I'm excited to finally
Yeah.
launch it.
I think we will enjoy it, but we'll see.
And final thought on Watch Dogs. Sorry, one last thing.
Do
No
it.
Dobermans.
Why'd they call him the Fox in the end credits when they didn't mention that name the entire
I
game?
wondered
I
that,
really
yeah.
wondered if maybe I had just missed it and was just oblivious.
Yeah.
All right. Well, not just me, huh?
They
Was it
called him
just
the
that-
Vigilante.
Yeah.
But then like some call him the Fox. I'm like,
Yeah, I didn't know where that came from. Like it was like he needed a superhero name instead of just
was-
the vigilante.
was the Watch Dogs symbol supposed to be a fox with ears and a pointy nose?
I wondered that, but then it also is like default's symbol, and he has a mask that looks like that symbol.
Watch Dogs sucks. Anyway,
Yeah. Good note to end on.
So join us next time, Bastion.
Great. See ya.